dELCO After Dark live music series. Live on. Hey, there we are driving by the Wawa corporate offices over at Red Roof. Hey, and there's some more Wawa. Hey, going through, heading to town to. Oh, Jesus. Hey, Frank's on the show as we head by the Sterling Pig, one of the places. And hey, that's where the coffee club used to be. Ah, the memories. You know what? Hey, there's me. Hey, I'm on the show too. This is like the State Street montage. This is like the heart of Delaware County. At least we didn't get hit by the trolley or nothing because, there's the trolley! dELCO After Dark opening montage. Hey, stop by the Media Theater because, hey, and then you gotta go by John's, O'Connell's over in Springfield. But we just sort of parked at the 2312 because we did, hey, Pinocchio's! Gotta stop by Wawa and eat off the trash can because that's what you do. dELCO After Dark. Come on, join us for a little bit. Singer-songwriter series, right here on Twitch and Facebook, right now.
Is it dark? And are you in dELCO? Because if so, have we got a show tailor-made for that exact circumstance right here for you and yours, from us and us. It's dELCO After Dark. Go figure. That show, that event, that Friday night tradition that you do, not really sure why, but you keep doing it and watching beyond all reason, apparently, to these guys and whomever they are able to drag on, kicking, and sometimes screaming. I mean, the screaming usually ends long before showtime, but you never know what's going to happen. Seriously, you never do, which gives it that surprise, kind of feel to it, like, ooh, what's going to happen? Hey. So let's see what surprises happen tonight on dELCO After Dark.
Friend Steve Hansko. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I can't complain.
Now here is something of interest to everyone.
Steve joins us from probably coming from a Phillies game, or at least one or two this week or something.
Actually, I haven't gone to any this week.
What? You must have been really busy at work.
I was. We had a short theater festival at work. That's what I'm coming from today.
No sound?
No sound?
Oh, I wonder if my solo camera had no sound. Let's find out. Hold on. Host close. Wow, the solo camera had no sound. That's kind of crazy.
So yeah, I had the short theater festival today. Short theater is always fun. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You get some avant-garde stuff, and you get some.
God damn it.
Nothing happy.
Nothing happy.
I've worked this short theater festival for many a year. It's I want to say the 5th or 6th year that our place had it, and I think maybe twice they've had funny short theater shows. Everything else is like about trauma or just more trauma or sadness
or just more trauma
or very
more trauma and more trauma. There we go.
Last year there was a person who dressed up like a fried egg but then did everything about Hamlet. It was amazing. It was funny to me, but because it was just so wildly weird that it made my day.
Okay. It's kind of weird.
But yeah, no Philly. I actually gave up my Phillies tickets tomorrow because a bunch of good friends are in a show tomorrow and it's only one day, so.
Oh.
What could possibly ruin a day such as this?
Going to see a show instead of going to see the Phillies because they're on a roll.
Boy, they're on a roll. How many? I mean, I watch it over John's because I do everything at John's. I mean, you know that. I swear I've seen a couple of the guys hit a couple grand slams this year.
I believe Bryce Harper has at least 2, and there are others that have grand slams. It's just They're playing really well.
I
right
mean,
now.
a grand slam is a super rare thing, right? Or at least it
Well, I
used
mean,
to
you
be.
You got to get the bases loaded.
gotta get the
and
bases
then-
loaded
and
and then-
actually connect and hit that grand slam.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot.
I mean, baseball teams have whole seasons it doesn't happen.
Yes,
And they've got 3
at least, yeah.
within and we're in May.
Yep.
How good are they?
Well, I mean,
their pitching was great last year, but is their hitting as good as their pitching?
they're getting timely hitting. There's nobody that except for Alec Boehm and Trey Turner who's injured.
Sports ball.
There's nobody really, as they say, tearing the cover off the baseball. Like they're all in the high 200s.
Hey, Winston, how come you don't have any toys? All you got is
See,
condiments.
I'm so sorry.
use
All
them
it says
when
is
I have
tasty.
people
I thought it
over
was just
to
going to
eat.
say tasty.
It makes them tastier to me. To my mouth.
500 words, and I just had.
That's a good one.
Okay. They don't tear the thing off the ball.
But I mean, they're the best. Technically, with their record, they're the best team in baseball right now. So can't argue with that. They have the best record in baseball.
Who beat them last year for
We lost the
Arizona?
Arizona
Really?
Diamondbacks.
And how are they doing?
They're not. I haven't really been keeping up to them. If at best, they're third in their division right now. Because the Dodgers are one of the teams that are close to the Phillies in record right now.
Well, Dodgers have that super duper guy who was betting but not really betting, and is he still?
According to Major League Baseball, who never sweeps anything under the rug, it was only his interpreter who was betting, and he didn't know anything about it.
These are the guys that won't let Pete Rose in Hall of Fame.
Well, I have a whole other thing about Pete Rose, but I first of all, Pete Rose is a scumbag.
I don't know anything about Pete Rose. I mean, I know that he played for Cincinnati, and then he played for us, and then but he retired with us, right?
No, he went back to Cincinnati and played for them. He played for the Expos for a little bit. He did bet on baseball, but for years and years and years that he refused to admit it. When he was caught betting on baseball, the baseball commissioner said, "If you admit to this, you won't have a lifetime ban. We are just going to ban you for a little bit, and you won't have a lifetime ban." But Pete Rose refused to admit to it. For years, in fact, having my favorite baseball player, Mike Schmidt, defending him on TV because he's like, I've talked to Pete. Pete said he didn't bet on baseball. I believe him. And then Pete wants to sell a book, and he goes, yeah, I bet on baseball. No, but that's not why he's a scumbag, though. Mr. Pete Rose had a relationship with a 14-year-old girl in Ohio and took her over state lines.
I've never heard of that story.
And also, if you've ever heard him talk, he does not hold back his words, and his words are not the best. He was on the TV broadcast last year, and let's just say that he's not allowed to come back. But I'm also just not. I'm not a fan of Pete Rose, so I will blatantly put that out. I'm colored, not a fan of Pete Rose. But anyway, yeah. But Shohei Ohtani supposedly, we'll go back to that, supposedly never bet. It was just his interpreter. Mm-hmm. Somehow his interpreter bet $10 million. So we're just gonna over the span of his time as Shay's.
So what happened to the interpreter?
Oh, he's fired. He's been brought up on charges. He got caught betting while being.
An interpreter can't bet?
Nobody who's in the clubhouse is allowed to bet on baseball. It might be all sports, but it's definitely not allowed to bet on baseball. It actually in the room.
Could this have been a cultural thing? He just didn't know.
He should, because if he's the interpreter, he should know English. And
no, I mean, let's assume that the interpreter's taking the fall for this.
But it's actually, there's a sign in every clubhouse, and this is one of the problems with Pete Rose too, is that there's a sign in every clubhouse that says you cannot bet on baseball. Like when you walk in the room, like it's something that everybody sees when they come in. So like maybe not seeing it the first day, you could get, I didn't see this, but like it's in every clubhouse because baseball wants them to know, like it's basically a commandment: thou shalt not bet.
Well, what was the big one with the Sox back in the 30s? That was
they were throwing games.
Yeah. Like legit.
Well, they're the owner.
I mean, they weren't expected to win anyway, but they really kind of went out of their way, right?
Oh, no, they had a very good chance of
Oh,
winning.
really?
The Chicago White Sox had one of the better had probably the best team that year, but their owner was just he was not paying them. He wasn't doing anything. It was back when the owners could do whatever they wanted, so they're just like, all right, well, we're going to throw this because of all these gangsters in Chicago who are going to give us extra money if we wind up losing and like making sure that we cover the spread, but also we lose. And it got found out.
There's a spread in baseball? I knew there was one in football.
There's a spread in all of them. Any sport, there's like some kind of spread.
Huh.
I don't understand the baseball spread, but there's a spread.
What would be a baseball spread?
It's just like...
Although you just said you wouldn't understand. I'm asking you to explain
It's really just like how many runs you're going to win by. But it could be like 8.5, and I'm like, I would never bet 8.5 runs. Or sometimes it's total amount of runs. Like, it's the same thing as football. It's just... You
could bet on the total amount of runs from both teams.
Yeah, like a combined, like, if you thought that...
Well, that's just simply just like picking a number out of thin fucking air.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to pick like 30, but...
But there have been games where you could say, like, I'm going to say combined they're going to score 15 runs, and if it's 14.5, you'd go with the over. Like, an 8-7 game, you're going to hit that over. Anyway, lots of betting. I don't bet on sports because it's insane. But... Anyway.
So I noticed you're wearing a
Philly Fanatic
hat. So I have to ask, because that's not, because it's got the green. I love the green. What is your opinion of the Friday uniforms?
I don't mind them.
You know what? I've kind of grown. The hat is banging.
Oh, I love the hat. That's the first thing. Like, I got the hat the very first day when they had, like, the announcement. I had the hat, or like, that day.
Yeah, the hat's killer.
Yeah.
The thing itself is, it looks like it should be in Miami or something. Or it looks like it was like someone had a joke about it.
It's like a very fancy beer league softball league.
It looks like something like Miami text in the '80s. Like it looks like it should say Miami Vice or something. I don't know.
But it's grown on me. Seeing it in person's not that bad. I hate the numbers. Like I hate the font that they use for the numbers. But I will tell you that one of the reasons why I love it is these are a lot of sports opinions. They're the only ones that I have hard and fast. I hate Howard Eskin, and Howard Eskin, the day after the uniforms came out, was blasting it on the radio, and I was like, well, I love these things now.
Oh, it's simply because, I know that a lot of people like your idea.
You son of a bitch.
They're not big fans of Eskin.
But I'm not. But I don't mind them. And in fact, I'm going to get one. It's funny that I'm wearing the Fanatic hat. I have a pinstripe Fanatic jersey. I have a powder blue one. I'm getting the cream one because I have Sunday season tickets. And if I can find a way to get the Friday, the City Connect ones, I'll have that, and they'll all be on my wall because the Fanatic is my favorite Philly of all time.
Oh, well, there you go. My father used to gripe about me. He's like, "What the fuck is that? It's not even a thing."
It's amazing. That's what it is.
Well, it's like gritty. It's like, and yet those are the two. I mean, anybody. I couldn't tell you. I mean, the Diamondbacks, I guess, must be a snake. I don't know. I think the Cubs is Mr. Baseball or something like that.
No. Mr. Met is a big baseball head.
Mr. Met. That's what I'm thinking.
And
yeah.
The Cincinnati Reds also have a big baseball head mascot. I believe he's Mr. Red, and to differentiate him from Mr. Met is just a big stupid baseball head. Mr. Red or whatever his name is has a nice curly Q mustache.
Oh, do they ever fight? Do they ever get?
I hope so.
That'd be great.
But the Reds are the oldest team in baseball, so that's like they kind of like.
Were they always in Cincinnati?
No, they've always been in Cincinnati. They've had different names, but they're the oldest team in baseball. The Phillies are the oldest continual nickname.
I was going to say, because the Phillies used to be the Athletics a million years ago.
The Athletics were a completely different team. At one point, there were two teams in Philly, and then the Athletics moved to Kansas City and then to Oakland.
I didn't know they bumped to Kansas City and then Oakland. Because I always loved their uniforms, probably because they were green. They were like, when I was growing up, they were like green and yellow?
Yeah.
Or green and black? I don't know. They were very sharp.
Yeah. So
Did Reggie
Jackson played for
them at the end of his career.
At the beginning, he was there, and then he went to the.
He was in New York. He was Yankees.
And I'm almost positive that he went to the Angels. And I only
Angels,
think
yes,
because I think he was on the Angels when they made Naked Gun, when Enrico Palazzo and all that fun stuff, and Naked Gun when Frank Drebin has to pretend to be the umpire, but he also had to sing the national anthem as Enrico Palazzo. It's great. I don't know if
it's been a long time.
I love Naked Gun. It's one of my favorite movies. The co-star has not aged well.
I know. I was gonna make a joke about the other co-star, but I can't remember his name. He was the football
Oh, no,
announcer.
that's what I mean. The co-star of O.J. Simpson.
But there's another one. The other guy is a very famous. It was a very famous big guy. He was a sports announcer or something like that. Because remember, there's O.J. Simpson was a co-star, but then there was his partner. It's like Frank and the guy who was the big guy. He was a linebacker. Oh, there's no way I'll remember his name. Nope, not gonna happen.
But yeah.
Thank God for Bobby.
And I've had
What is this bullcrap?
I've had discussions because my mom's a huge baseball fan. It's one of the reasons why I'm a baseball fan. But
Well, yeah, whenever Fry and his mom are sitting together, and like she's, I think of you and your mom, except like they're football, and you know.
But I've had conversations with that, like during my rebellious teenage years. If the Athletics had still been in Philly, I probably would have went to the Athletics because when you're a teenager, you hate everything your parents like. So I would have been like, no, I'm an Athletics fan because she would have been a Phillies fan.
I was gonna say, Phil, how many cities have 2 baseball teams? I know one.
Right now, I think there's 3.
Okay.
If you count the Angels and the Dodgers, because the Angels are in Anaheim, but they also are called the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They have the Angels and the Dodgers. There's the Cubs and the White Sox and the Yankees and the Mets. I'm trying to rack my brain to think if there's any more, but I think those are the only 3.
Yeah, well, you have to have a town big enough to support
Yeah.
that, right? How many states have at least 3 teams in them?
States that have 3 teams? Well, California.
Mm-hmm. Texas? It's got the
They've only got
Rangers
they've got
and
the Rangers and
Astros.
Astros. I think it might only be California that has 3.
Okay, what ones have 2? I know we have 2.
We have 2. New York has 2. Chicago has 2. Illinois has 2. Florida has 2.
What's the other Florida team?
The Marlins and the Rays. Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, the Tampa Bay Rays, yeah.
I don't know if they need all this baseball. I'm trying to rack my brain.
No.
But however, I will be jumping the pond and seeing the Phillies play in London.
That's insanity.
And I will also be seeing Sir Ian McKellen in a show while I'm out there.
Oh, what's he in?
There's on the West End. They're doing a combined.
Oh, man.
A combined Henry II, Henry IV. I forget which one, but he's playing Falstaff.
Wow.
So
Together that would be 6.
yes.
So you have an impulse buy you were going to tell me about, I stopped you before the show came on because I'm like, that'll probably, whatever you're about to say is probably going to make good content.
So there's
or just content.
A specific game, a video game that I used to play. It's a sports game, but it's coming back out, and I don't have the console, and it's only coming out on console, so you have to have the Xbox X/S or the PlayStation 5. And impulse buy, I bought an Xbox Series X off of Electronic Bay today.
Oh.
Not cheap, but I was like, I need to play this game.
Well, I mean, you've seen my computers. I mean, my computer's ridiculous, so I can't make fun of anybody.
And I did make a caveat. I don't think you heard it, but I said, well, impulse buy for me. You would have just been like, well, I just needed to buy this thing.
And what's the game?
It's College Football 25. It's a sports game. I played. The first game was the last one was NCAA 14. And it was like one of, if not my favorite games that I've ever played, because of the sports side of me. I just really enjoyed that more.
I remember I used to play Madden before it had numbers.
Oh, I remember those days.
I think 89, 90, which was in Madden. It was 93 was the first one that actually had like a year on it.
Yeah, and then you could injure somebody, but sometimes the ambulance would come out on the field, but accidentally run over the person as they ran out on. As
I forgot about the ambulance on the field.
It was amazing.
That was a great game. I get so mad at that damn game. I was on my Super Nintendo. I had that with Zelda and way too many cartridges that were. It's really interesting that like video games have really held they've been like, prices of this go up or down or mostly up. Wages go down, prices go up, everything. But video games, like $50, dude. And like in 1980, like between like $30 and $50. And today between $30 and $50. It's just video games just kind of hold the thing. Now they've got a couple special editions like, like Diablo, whatever it is now, and stuff like that. It's like
Diablo
70.
4. Yeah. But you could have gotten it. They're like now going to 60 to 70 for your normal game now. But you could have gotten it for that. Or if you were like me and somehow got suckered because, you know, you play all the Diablo games, I got the Super Ultra one and I paid $100. But I got all the fun stuff that's just code and figure out a way to...
I hear it's the shiznit.
Figure out a way to get money out of somebody. Some rube.
The special, hey, you get the special pearl-handled edition of the weapon in Red Dead Redemption
There we
2.
go.
Which I have that, and I've only played maybe about an hour, because everyone, the whole world played this. Hey, you got to play Red Dead Redemption. I played it.
enjoyed Red Dead.
Yeah, and I just didn't get... Now, Spider-Man, now Spider-Man, the re-release from the PlayStation 5 onto the PC, I played that to finish. That was fun. It was something I actually wanted to play. But, so my impulse, that was your impulse buy. My impulse buy, we're going to introduce Floyd. Floyd is my little piece of ferrofluid who's been here busy as hell the whole time we're talking. We're going to put him in a camera. He could end up with a different name, but right now his name is Floyd. So let's say hi to Floyd for a minute. Hey, Floyd, how's it going? And there he is. That's what he does. He interacts with anything, what do you call it? Speech?
Audio?
Yeah. So even if I go like...
Will I always be the king of pain?
You know, it's Rorschach. It's a...
Yeah, like I said, he's kind of Venom. Yeah, it's a little piece of ferrofluid, and ferrofluid is, for lack of a better term, I think it's full of magnetic filings or something, or fairings, I guess. It's fairing fluid. So it interacts with sound and other things. So as long as you have sound, it will interact in some way. And if you stop...
It's at rest.
Look at he barely moved for that. Your low tone was like, I don't feel like getting up.
I'm tired.
I knew that. What do you think? I'm stupid or something?
So anyway, that was my what do you call it, impulse buy, which I'm probably going to give to someone for Christmas. But I had to test it out first. I mean, it's in pristine shape.
If you should get like 6 of them and put them around the soundboard at media and just...
That'd be crazy.
Just to like see choreograph, maybe inspire Christian of like how to choreograph something.
That he knows how to do. He's pretty good.
Oh, I was a big fan of Christian when I was there, and that was a while ago now.
Well, I remember. Well, you know, it's funny. Him and I were just talking about like what do you call it? The last show he acted in. You were there for. It was your first show. The last show that he acted in was your first show.
It was Sweeney, right?
Sweeney, yeah, it was Sweeney.
Because he came back.
He was Toby. Is that it? No.
No.
I think Toby. He's from The Office.
But he.
Cut your grass, clean your gutters, put your pants back on. Blah, 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 blah.
I can't remember what part he played. I know he played like the underling to Sarah.
I think he's got the last line in the play. He's just there, like slowly.
Yeah, he's grinding.
Slowly, yeah.
Like he's taking over for Mrs. Lovett. But I remember I was very impressed with him during Wizard of Oz, as we've always talked about. Him and Tim every night having to figure out how to choreograph those stupid panels.
It's a 5-panel night. It's a 3-panel night. It's a 1-panel night.
I will give them both all the credit in the world for figuring that out every night.
You go to hell, Mom.
Or not.
And then I remember talking to Jesse about him. I said, I think he's someone you might be able to lean on.
Yeah, because by the end of that season, him and Jenny and I guess Jesse were all together sort of doing
Saturday
Night Fever. And they kind of like duked it out of who was going to do what for when and whatever. And Saturday Night Fever was pretty good. I had a good time with it.
I will honestly say the only show that I didn't enjoy while I was there was Wizard of Oz. And it had nothing to...
And Christian will absolutely agree with you. If he were here right now, he would say the same thing because it was just... But I have a different opinion of it because, of course, I'm coming at it from a very different, POV. Which reminds me, I had a friend of mine come to me. They're doing Wizard of Oz somewhere, and she was wondering if I had the sound package for it. And I'm like, do I? I had an amazing sound package for Wizard of Oz. Remember like the Tin Man. I had like 9 plus a pop cap, like from Bob Steinman when he got up. And I had like that fist fight backstage, and then like I threw a fart in there, and then Kelly would walk around and go, and I swear to God, it was the dog. I mean, that was the best line of the play, and it's not even in the play.
I can promise you that it has for me, it was only because of the set. If the set was better and I would have probably enjoyed it. And it has not. It really wasn't the carpet; it was the set. Like I just did not enjoy it. And I will give all the credit to the cast. If it wasn't for that cast doing as well as they were, that show would have been terrible.
Well, also, I mean, they what do you call it? The band was on stage, which was a very, and I love Mark, but it was a very bold move to put the band. Also, we didn't use the screen. We had that screen, which got used for everything. Jesse, you really love that screen, brother. But which a screen for some things is absolutely right, like Sunset Boulevard, for example. I mean, yes, absolutely. But we really leaned on that pretty heavy. But it kept our costs down, I'm guessing. But Wizard of Oz. The one thing that okay, this is what we're using the screen for, right? Nah, not so much.
Well, the other thing too was that was the one where we just had so many arguments with production about like what we can and can't do. It was also the one where some of the costumes, the parents were just like, "We're not wearing these, we're wearing this," and like. There was a lot of cooks.
Did we have a lot of kids for the Munchkins? I can't remember.
It wasn't even the kids. It was the one Dorothy whose mom was on the board decided that they didn't like the Dorothy costume and they didn't like the other costumes, and these were all costumes that were approved by approved and.
Well, we had I forget who the wardrobe person was, but there was a wardrobe person that made these.
Yeah, it was Rin, who also did the painting.
How about if I take you back to your parents in a box?
And it was literally like a week and a half before the show, and the mom had an issue with some of the costumes, and we weren't going to do like a traditional lion costume. It was going to be something else, and then the mom got involved, and we wound up like going to Pierre's, and like they had to get the okay. The mom was friends with Reed Dumpy. And they all were like okayed the extra expense to get like the traditional looking costumes because they didn't like some of the costumes.
I never knew any of that.
Yeah, it happened out in the hallway.
It happened
while like it was literally like out in the hallway. It was one of the like getting mad, and then there were times like me and Jesse were like trying to force Mark to not have the band on the stage, and that just didn't happen because Mark had the idea of I want this on the stage.
Yeah, the band on the stage was interesting. I didn't hate it, and I made it work because I always do. But it was an interesting choice. Yeah. And I know they weren't really keen on it because they were just stuck. Like
they couldn't go anywhere.
They couldn't go get like a thing of soup.
Or they couldn't just have like a thing.
That's a joke that no one knows.
They couldn't like have a thing of like to drink that wasn't other than water on stage because everybody could see them moving. Like.
Yeah, I mean, well, now for the last season, which might be the last season, last season they were up in the balcony, which is it's a weird thing. We've made it work, and part of that is there's a drum set right there. That's my drum set that I bought for rent because like 2 weeks into rent, I was like, this ain't working. So we got an electronic drum kit, which means that I could control the volume. And once I was able to do that, rent just like went right into place. So it was still a crazy fucking hot. There's a scene in Rent that's just like everything's happening all at once, and you got to figure out what you want to focus on as an audience member. Is it Angel and his boyfriend down here? Is it what's his name, Gary or whatever his name, and Crazy Girl 423 over here, or this or whatever? There's just shit happening everywhere, and you have to as a person, you're gonna be like, well. And they're all singing at the same time. They're all singing different things. Somehow it's working. Somehow Ben's playing it. Mixing it is a fucking nightmare. And it's like 3 pages of everyone singing at the same time, different things.
Yeah.
And theater is the only thing that does that. I mean, once in a while you'll get and Peter Gabriel will do it. You'll come across a song that there's 2 things happening at once. There's a guy singing, and then usually it's himself is singing like a counterpoint to it, and you can kind of pick it out, but we're talking like Javert and Valjean, which is, that's different because that's like back and forth. Oh no! At the end, they tear ass against each other. Ugh.
But at least that's 2 people. That's not 12.
That's not one more day.
And also, now the same thing. Everybody's heard Rent, but everybody's heard Les Mis. So if you're coming in and you're like, I don't understand.
Let's go get some beer.
That I don't understand what's going on. Almost everybody's heard Les Mis that's coming into that theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of things that came into that theater, people already knew. I remember I always like to do it, and we're letting Ben do the opening speech for Seussical, and he wrote one. He wrote like a Seussical style rhyming speech for Seussical. It's goofy and silly. It's like blah 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 blah. And I can't remember any of it, but I always like the what do you call it? The speech, the opening speeches when you're like begging for money and sucking the life out of the room to have something to do with the show. But they always, I always got shot down for that. Like for Wizard of Oz, I wanted like what do you call it? I wanted probably either the Wizard or someone to do it. Maybe not the Wizard. I don't know. But I know for Beauty and the Beast, I wanted Luminaire to do it.
Well, that's the person who makes the most sense. So
dude, like almost like he's like, excuse me, whatever. I used to have a bunch of them, but I would always get shot down.
I was very impressed. There's a group. Actually, unfortunately, they just folded, but it's only because it's a community theater group and they've been doing it since they were real young. But their last show was Finding Nemo, and their pre-show speech, they wrote it for Marlon and Dory to do it. And
that wasn't Owen J. Roberts or whatever. They were doing something. Somebody I know was just doing Finding Nemo.
It was Ash Theater. It's in Manayunk. And then also my sister, which I know I probably sent you at one point saying, hey, what about those Finding Nemo? But like, we just never got. Well,
and I got to be honest, for Finding Nemo, I had a really great walk-in for it. It was all like underwater, and it had like buoys, and it was weird when you walk, because I have those rear speakers. When you walk in the back of the house, it's beach, it's seagull, it's beach, and as you go closer into the house, it gets more and more underwater until in the front it's whale song, and in the middle it's boats going over you, but in the back it's beach. It was pretty fucking badass.
You should have told me that one.
And then the rest of the show sucked. No, it was great. It was a fun show.
It's a kid's show. I mean,
it was cute. Yeah.
Like as long as the kids are having fun and it's a good production and you have like 3 good kids, everyone goes home happy in there.
Hey, what up, Billy? It's Billy and Bobby, and damn little else. Although we've been picking up a lot in the rerunny, like it bottomed out for a little while, but it's picking back up a little bit, Not like when let's go back to 2-screen. All right, Floyd, we're gonna let you go for a little bit. Okay, I'll see you later.
Fine.
All right. Oh wait, no, now I'm talking. I was doing it backwards. There you go. But that's my silly little impulse buy. So now here we can watch Floyd. I don't know why he's disconnecting from the other piece of himself. There he is. Now he is whole again. Oh no, he's gone.
Every time you
isn't that crazy?
You leave a piece. No. But yeah, Ben, moving on.
Yep, Ben's going on to bigger and brighter things. A lot of people are. But we did a movie. We hosted a movie about Roberto Clemente tonight. Didn't know a lot about the guy. It's amazing that he finished with 3,000 hits exactly.
On the button, yeah.
And then and he would have done a lot more because he only died at 38. I didn't know he died in a plane crash. I didn't know he was from Puerto Rico. I didn't know anything about the guy. And boy, it was a very long documentary, and it was really well done. And we took we needed to get the screen down, and the screen is on the first rail. And we took a projector that we borrowed from the Mac. Thank you, Mac. That was it pushed the image from the we put it on the balcony.
Okay.
Because we have the Seussical set from behind it, so we can't. You need that for rear projection. It has to sit way back there, way back, and trapezoid the hell out of it. So we did it from the balcony because we didn't want to take up space in the what do you call it? So it's about the balcony from the stage, from the screen. I thought it was 90 feet. Lee thinks it's 60 feet. Let's split the diff. Let's say it's about 70 feet. 75 feet. Would you want to guess the lumens on that projector that somehow was able to send an image from the balcony to the screen and the client was happy with it?
More than one.
More than one. Definitely more than one. Price is
right.
Price is right rules. You're playing Price is Right.
I'm not the best at lumens.
You self-centered.
I'm gonna say 30,000.
2,600.
Oh, okay. So.
And if you don't know lumens, think of I think it's is it one? No, that's how much. That's sound. I'm thinking sound. It's like 1 foot per millisecond. That's sound, not for delays, not lumens. 2,600 is not a lot of lumens. That's like a PowerPoint presentation in your office. So for it to do that, because our other projector shit out. I have pictures. I was running around the other night over at the what do you call it? The shop, taking pictures of all the old projectors, because I have a friend of mine who has a lot of projectors and fixes them and sells them and finds them and scrounges and blah blah. And I'm like, maybe we can get something for some of these or make one of these old ones work or something. But he was like, yeah, those are pretty, and those were 16,000.
I remember when
16,000.
When I was there, we thought it was a projector issue. We got it fixed during Caesar when it kept like blinking on us.
And it still did it.
And we found out after getting it fixed. No, it wasn't QLab. It was the cord going from our QLab to the projector, which was a lot cheaper than getting that fixed. Unfortunately, we got it fixed before we got the cord done. And we had to bring in union work because it's a union job, which is fair enough. But like, we had to bring in Brendan and I think Brendan and maybe you.
Probably. It was if I'm probably there for everything back then.
You were there at least as like the second, and you used it as time to like fix sound because we were coming up on Beehive.
Man, do you remember my walk-in for not walk-in, but that opening scene from Beehive with the radio?
With your buddy as the
No, that was
Saturday.
No, for the opening for Beehive, I was talking to Alec. Alec Hirsch was the director for that, and he was like, "I want something that spans like music, like a radio that spans a decade." I'm like, "I get what you want," or I don't know if he actually said that or I just rolled with it, and I built like a 1.5 minute retrospective of the entire decade. Like, song and then something and then song and something and song and something, and not the whole song, just like, pieces of it. So by the time you got done the whole decade, you got like the lunar landing and MLK and Robert Kennedy and John F. Kennedy and Kent State and everything in the middle of all, and it flowed. It was because we put a spotlight like on this little radio on stage. Like we grabbed like a little like 60s radio and then did that. I love those little jukebox musicals because they're easy as fuck usually.
That was such a great palate cleanser.
After great.
Caesar, because Caesar was such a like very divisive in the.
I was just looking at the flags from that yesterday.
I think it was a fantastic production, but it was very.
Well, and once more, I love the sound design. I mean, because I remember vividly, and I've talked about this, that Bill Van Horn, who I love, I think he's great. He was we're putting together stuff, and that was me and Sarah Gaffigan. I think Sarah Gaffigan. Oh, I absolutely know it was Sarah Gaffigan because of this. So he's like, "There's thunder in this scene. There's thunder and light. I need thunder and lightning in this scene." And it's like Jenny Eisenhower and whoever her opposite was. She was playing Marius, I guess, or whatever. Marcus, I forget.
She was playing, Mark Anthony.
She was Mark Anthony?
Yeah, because she did the.
I remember she was all in leather, which was not a terrible thing.
She did
Love you, Jen.
She did the we come not to bury him, but
yes.
We come not to praise him, but to bury him, because it was the other, like the married couple that was Brutus and I forget the other one, but they were the other ones who did it. But unless I'm absolutely mistaken, Jenny was Mark Anthony in that show.
And we had hold on. We had mics on them for this, right?
No, I think you like hid mics.
Was this one of the ones? Because I know that when they did stage plays, they really liked, it started that way with Anne Frank, and it just continued that when we did straight plays, we would just do floor mics and hidden mics around the area, and somehow they would just make it work. Because without the music, if you can project at all in that theater with all that hard surface, you can be heard.
Yeah.
I'm
almost positive it was hidden mics in that one, because we also had like the dystopian, so we had a lot of places that you could hide mics. I think like there was one day you were almost playing like, "Ooh, where can I hide this mic?" And you had a bunch of mics on stage, but you're like, "Dude, where can I hide this?"
I remember for Anne Frank, I hid one in the lamp, like the lamp that's right above us, shining down on this table. I had one like. It was because in Anne Frank it was just like a single bulb, and my mic went all the way down and hung right on the end of the bulb. But for Julius Caesar, that scene with her, it's a rainstorm, and he's like, I need some thunders and stuff, and I go, you know where I say, my big smart ass.
I think I might have been in the room when you said this.
I can see myself at the board, like either the board's here and I'm here, and I'm being a smart ass because it's what I do. He's like, I need thunders for this. I'm like, thunders? Pfft, I got 26.
And I've seen them all because I did that sound effect site that you put half your stuff on.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So 26, dude. So we did, within 3 pages. That can't be right. And no, it was a lot. It was so much that I copied and framed a Q to Q, which is this little cartoon. You ever see Q to Q?
Oh, Q to Q is the best.
And it's the lighting guy and the sound guy, and they're just sitting there like, anything happening? No. All right, 1, 8, 3, 2, 1, and it's like this flurry of activity, and they're just like, and they're sweating, and it's only 4 panels, so it's like nothing, unbelievable, and they're pressing buttons and they're flying around, and then the panel after that is okay, what now? It's like nothing for 35 pages, and they go back, and it was very much like that, like her and I, especially with the straight play, I have much less work to do, and I love it when they happen. They're a lot easier, I should say, but that was very busy.
Because that was also the one, I think during Caesar was when I was introduced to the Alice in Wonderland that was written by the former co-worker at Media Theater, Roger, with our favorite line of all time.
Hold on a second, I can remember it. There's no poop on the poop deck?
There's no poop on the poop deck.
There's no poop on the poop deck. It's funny, I was like saying, I said it to Ben today. We were doing something, and I don't know. I mean, there's so many different eras that I can't remember what one you were in. But I turned to him and went, because we're doing tracks. We're doing tracks for the show we're doing now, which is I should remember this. It's musical. It's musical, which is it's by kids, for kids, kids love it, blah blah blah. But he's doing tracks, and I'm like, that's not bad, but it's no Party in the Castle. But I don't know if you might not have been there for Party in the Castle. He wrote a song.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Ben wrote one, and I was digging through my sound files. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's a song that he wrote for one. It goes Party in the Castle. It's just a silly.
What are you talking about?
Who cares what he's talking about? Who cares about any of this crap?
I heard that.
But it was it was a hell of a year. But by the end, I was pretty ready to get the
GTFO.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, with the exception of Lee and like all the production managers, 1 year was enough.
I actually have a message into Lee. I have to see if he still has the desks for Matilda, and if he doesn't, where
we do. I can absolutely tell you that we have 10 of the desks that they're finished. They're in the shop on the second floor. Of when you go underneath the arch and then you go up, they're all stacked up there. Yeah, you guys do Matilda?
The summer camp for the city, they're doing Matilda this summer. It's either the full or the junior, but they.
Do you want a number, or you want to offer a number?
I'll talk to Lee. I mean, if you just tell Lee to get in touch with me, I'll.
Lee doesn't work at the theater anymore.
Oh, okay.
You're talking to me.
You're the producer.
No. I have not signed anything. I am not running, and if nominated, I will not accept. Era.
You don't need an all-white beard like I do after 1 year.
Jesus Christ.
Plus, they want to keep you. They don't want you to be the...
Well, half the shit I do is for free. So I'm like, you know me, I was always there.
Yeah.
So, Carl, are you on the clock? No, I'm just fixing everything.
Steve, look away.
I would, Steve, look away. Well, even Patrick, you were like going through, I was thinking about this the other day. Like you're going through like the payment things for Sweeney or something. Like, so here's lighting design, here's costumes. Wait, what's for sound design? And he's like, no, we don't talk about that.
I'm like,
we don't pay Carl.
He's only union.
We don't pay, well, but the designers are different. So they get paid out anyway.
No,
but
I that's why I always fought if they weren't going to pay you to design. I always fought for
the hours to build.
When you're asking for something a day where no one's in the room, so you can ring out the system and figure out where something sound comes from. I fought to make sure that anytime you asked for something that we needed, I would go in there and be like, you need to do this. And the other times I'd let them talk me out of it, but I was like, especially with you, I went, you can't bite the hand that feeds you guys, because if he leaves, if you got pissed about something and you left, half of the stuff in the building is yours, not theirs.
This is true.
And also, the next person they come in is going to be like, okay, you want me to sound design this and run sound? Okay, I need my sound designer money, and I need, nobody else is going to do that.
No, and I didn't.
But it's also why I made sure that, when you were doing the kids show, you got your 4-hour minimum for that gig, and then you got your hour to walk away. Where sometimes you were like, "Steve, look away," or "Steve, close your ears because I got to do this one thing before I leave."
Oh, well, I mean, the kids show. I mean, especially the Saturday kids show. But sometimes it bumps right up against like the time for the.
I think there were like 2 times where I had to buy you a pizza because it ran over. And
it was a good pizza.
It was Pinocchio's. I wasn't getting the other.
I was trying to look smart,
but
I'm not smart.
but I would always fight for you, and I'd fight for Brendan.
Brendan is no longer stored.
You were telling me when it was like close to him being towards the end of his time.
I mean, he still works there and stuff like that. But our steward now is Drew. It's Drew Garate.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how I say his name, Drew Garate.
Because I thought you told me that he was going to go somewhere else.
I know that he put in for put in for a position somewhere else, but it was a very very
acrimonious.
No. Wanted that position that was prized by a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
So there's a word I'm not coming up with, but that's not a bad phrase. So I don't think he got that. So tasty, don't press the tasty one, dude. You know.
You said it.
Yes, I did.
I heard him.
So did I.
So yeah, fun times at the media. Yeah. Still there. Yeah, kids camps are going to ramp up soon, and they'll, kids shit money.
Yeah, well, like I've always told anybody, you have a kid in a show, their parents are going to come every single show.
And the grandparents, and maybe their uncles and friends of them. So yeah,
the grandparents might come to every show, and the uncle might come to one. But like those parents are there every single night, so they're buying a ticket.
Dude, when Lee had a kid in one of the kids shows, he bought tickets to every one of those shows and saw it like legit. This is a story. I don't know if I should tell this story live. So when Lee took over, because before he took over, he was a parent and he had a child in the kids camp, not the kids camp, but one of the kids shows. I think it was Alice in Wonderland. In fact, because we didn't have apparently there's a big baby in that show. Yeah. And we didn't have a big baby one day, so Lee filled in and he had like a big diaper and a rattle, and I pressed. I don't think I have that sound effect, but there's like a very classic baby sound effect. It goes and every time he come out, I'd play it and giggle, and he hates that sound effect. There's a picture of him somewhere with it. We need to find it, but he would go to Roger, or at the very beginning when they all got together, and they would all give Roger the costume fee for the kids, because kids would all have the costumes. Costume fee is $50 per kid, and they would give it to Roger, and then Roger would give it to Patrick and Jesse. So that's what he did. Fast forward, now he's production manager. And so he's getting together whatever it is for that first kid show. Could not tell you the kid shows. I could tell you, if you put a gun to my head, I could tell you every show in order from 2013 to today that we have done. Main stage, I could do it in order. But kid shows, I have no fucking idea, because they're like boop, boop, in and out. So he goes to Patrick, who's the executive director at that time, and he goes, okay, here's this is, and what do when should I collect the kids' costume fees? And Patrick's like this. He goes, "There's no costume fees. What are you talking about?" And Lee's like, the costume fees that I gave to. Oh, never mind. That's all in cash.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Part of me finds it hard not to imagine that anymore.
It's an amazing story. Now, is it a true story? What is it? What do I have to do for a disclaimer here? This may not be a true story, but it's one that I've heard. I think it's funny as shit, quite honestly.
Or how we allegedly found out about Hawaii.
Oh, that one. Yeah, what, on the Hawaiian properties on the thumb drive? Yeah, I still don't understand what that means. I was like, what is this? I don't even know where I found it.
I think we found it. Either you were cleaning out your closet, or I was cleaning something. I was cleaning something upstairs, and I found or one of us found a random thing, and I had my laptop down there because somebody was painting that day, so I just had to. Then we threw it on my. I was like, what?
Properties in Hawaii? Yeah, I'm still unsure what exactly all that stuff meant. We're dropping some dimes, people. Some old dimes that aren't really worth anything anymore, but But that was a fun year.
I can tell you, and I was thinking about this today, is that it seems to me a lot of the stuff that I only did short stints have impacted me more than the stuff that I've done long stints on. Like my 1 year here still impacts me more than like working for years with the city of Philadelphia, which is where I work right now. But like just that 1 year here is like, okay, like.
Well, also working at the media is fucking crazy. It is theaters not by definition, but theater's just crazy. Things like everything, all of a sudden you got all these different departments, everything comes together. I'm sure every job has something like that, but theater is just like, it's unbelievable how anything ever happens anyway. In a very similar way, I think of like, I watch like a sports game and as I watch a sports game and here's a cut and they're cutting it here and they're cutting it, like even baseball and the down camera and there's a guy in a room with probably 20 screens, maybe more. And he's like, okay, 2, and then go to 3, and I need ready for, and I need that replay. We're gonna play that replay twice, and it is just it's unbelievable. I mean, it's got to be the fastest. So, and theaters like that. It's just all this shit, and especially that place. So theater's already crazy to begin with, and then at the media, it's doubly crazy because it's just like things just happen or don't happen, and we always make it work. But you know what? When you make a miracle work more than twice, it's not a miracle anymore. It is just SOP.
I've said this to a lot of people. I have good relationships with everybody that I worked with at media.
Except that one guy.
No,
I'm just joking.
I have the exception of the one.
I actually have a good relationship. I was chatting with him. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, actually, a little bit. No,
Which guy are you talking about?
I'm talking about Roger.
Oh, okay. Because I haven't talked to Roger in a while, but I also wasn't friendly with Roger. We were.
Roger and I were buddies. Although he did go to the middle of Pennsylvania, put on a red hat, and drink the water, dude. It kind of did not expect it from you, but do what you want. Waffle House.
We had a working relationship, and by the end, it's amicable. But like, it did not start off well, and there were certain times where he wanted to exert his power, and there were times where I didn't want to take it anymore.
I remember, the kid shows back then. We didn't have mics for it. We were doing the kid show today, and they're all over the place. You got Horton, and, the Who's, and, it's fucking Dr. Seuss. And they all wear mics now because we were able to pick up an extra set of mics because we have 16 receivers, but we only have 16, more or less, transmitters. And they're all for the main stage actors. And I'm not once the show starts, I don't like to fuck with things because you start doing that, you start unplugging things, moving things, wearing different items, then you're going to
like that we both kind of stopped and.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know much about golf, although I do like golf games. Golf games are fun.
Especially the ones with the little ball.
Yeah. Golf itself, my brother has a really nice golf set. I guess they're called clubs. Golf set. It's a sports ball. But
golf bats.
I heard little golf bats, but I always heard that golf is like really, you could have a whole day of shit and have one shot that's just like, it's okay. It's not even. I mean, it's not great.
It's just slightly better than shit.
Okay, it's okay. Makes you want to come back and do the whole thing, which means you got to buy the clubs. You got to rent or pay whatever you have got to pay to do the thing, and you got to rent this and do that. No way, dude. I do not need another thing like that. Hey, let's check in on Floyd. Let's see how Floyd's doing. Hey,
Floyd. Hi guys, how you doing?
Uh-oh.
Floyd died.
Oh no, Floyd ran out of power.
All right, Floyd, you're good.
Floyd, you can make it. He seems kind of he's kind of zoomed in a little bit. I think I might have zoomed in a little bit. Maybe pull back just a little bit for Floyd. Oh, Floyd,
he's tired.
Dude, I can't believe Floyd died on us.
He didn't die. He's tired.
Maybe we'll say hi one last time. There he is. There he goes. Hey, Floyd, how's it going? Oh, well.
So Seussical, that's really the only thing going on there.
That's it. Yeah.
The consistent thing going on.
Yeah, we the last show of the year, Legally Blonde, has been postponed. There goes Floyd. Has been postponed indefinitely at the moment. I'm not sure when it's going to come
Do
back.
you have any allergies? Because let me just go on to say that I do. I have them all.
So that'll be in the fall if if things come together. Tuck Everlasting though is absolutely happening. Those rehearsals are going to be, which is I think like Peter Pan. I don't know much about Tuck Everlasting, so it's kind of a Peter Pan-y story. So that's happening in the kids show in late June. Late July, early
the big
August.
Kid show, the big kid, like the big kid.
Yeah. So they used to do two of them. Like they did one for a while, and then they would do two. Because I remember the year we did, it was 2016. We did 13 the musical and School of Rock. 13 the musical was legitimately good. Like really, the music from that is by Thomas Brown.
Jason Robert Brown.
Jason Robert Brown. Who also does the music for Bridges in Madison County, which the
last 5 years.
Dude, a random track from my stage recording of Bridges in Madison County came on. It was something between Francesca and whatever the lead's name was, and holy fuck. The music's spectacular. Number one, I mixed it like a motherfucker. Number two, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous soundtrack. And I think it's happening. I mean, it's always happening somewhere, but I think it's happening somewhere in the next couple months. I really need to get out and see it. But yeah, we did 13, and then we did School of Rock. And School of Rock, hands down, the last night of tech or preview or whatever you want to call it. It was like Friday night or I forget what it was. Whatever the night before opening was horrible. It was legitimately just the worst ever. Owen was our Dewey, who was the lead guy in School of Rock.
So he's done that twice then, right? Because didn't you guys just recently do it?
Yeah, but he didn't. But no, that was Adam. There was a guy named Adam that came down from New York to do that. Who did a great job.
That's right. Because there's a guy. I think I sent you. There's a kid. The guy who plays his friend is actually somebody who did.
Ned Schneebly.
Yeah,
or Schneebly.
Jeremy Kanopka did theater in Philly with one of the theater groups that I work with, and he also went to my old high school. So like, I was throwing
tall, right? Really tall.
I believe so. Yeah. But I was throwing it up on Facebook like, hey, if you're a Ryan alumni of theater, this guy's up in media. Go see it. Go see him do the show.
Yeah, it was good. Actually, it was really good. Our School of Rock was. They had a turntable. The kids all played their own instruments. I bought, and there's pictures of it. I bought, what do you call it? A Epiphone SG Standard for Dewey. It's the red horned classic Epiphone. I mean, his was a Gibson, which is like, I think like $1,500 to like $2,500, as opposed to like the $6 that I paid, the $5 or $6, I forget, because I ain't doing that. And it was also beautiful. It was a beautiful guitar. It's nothing that I would have ever bought for myself ever. But once I got it and looked at it, it was gorgeous guitar, and I gave it to him, and he played it for about 2 or 3 weeks. And his girlfriend came to me and went, his birthday was in March, and she's like, "Listen, can I buy it from him for his birthday because he really loves it?" And I was like, "No, okay, fine." It
was $1,500.
Fine. No, I sold it to him at cost because that's me. That's what I do.
I'm kind of surprised you weren't just like, sure, just have it.
Just take it. Go on.
It wasn't green, so you didn't want it.
The young girl who was the bass player played my green Ibanez bass. It's got a mother pearl and it has like chromatic green on it. It's very, very pretty. And in a moment of weakness, it was like the last night of the show or whatever. I spoke to her mother. I'm like, listen, she's been playing, and she learned how to play bass for the show, which is incredibly impressive. And I told her mom, who didn't know who I was. I was a little taken back. I was a little insulted because I'm like, everyone knows me in the media theater. It says, who are you? I'm like, who am I? Who am I?
I'm Jean Valjean.
I'm Jean Valjean. 24601, bitch. And
You are unfunny, and your judgment will reflect it.
So I offer. I'm like, listen, if your daughter wants the bass, I think I got it. I got it through my daughter's boyfriend. He runs a guitar center, so I got it at a very good price. I think it runs for. I think I got it for like $230 or something. I'm like, listen, give me $200 for it. If your daughter really wants it, she can have it. And she's like, I don't know. And then, I mean, no offense to her. She had other stuff on her mind and stuff. But then later she kind of tried to contact me, and I was like, that offer is gone.
Yeah.
That was a moment of weakness.
I burned it after you said.
Yeah.
I just lit it on fire.
Dude, I know a guy that did that. Our old production manager, Robert Twarnicki, he lived with our friend Austin. I keep wanting to say Austin Connors, and I hope I'm not giving anything away. But apparently he had a breakup, a terrible breakup, as we all have had. But he had a terrible breakup, I think. And Rob came home to Austin in the backyard, like with a fire burning everything that was either his girlfriend's or his girlfriend ever gave him, like gasoline and I guess like a bowl or a ditch in the ground. And that fucker was like, 6 foot high, burning everything. This was his literal, what do they call that? Like
burning the effigy.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Yeah. I'm like, hey, Rob, how was last night? He's like, weird. I came home and there was a fire in the backyard. They were burning. He burnt like electronica. I mean, it was crazy. But sometimes different people get over things in different ways. Yeah, or you can be like me and just never get over anything and just write songs about it constantly, which helps somewhat.
I'm Irish, so I repress it all the way down.
I'm Scotch-Irish, apparently.
As John Mulaney's great joke, we repress it and we hold it in, and then one day we die.
I was quoting John Mulaney tonight because they were talking about something, and they were like, my dad said this, and I just believed it my whole life. And John Mulaney's got that joke. He's like, Tommy Lee, he was telling to John, he's like, when he was young, he's like, yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is gay. And he's like, and then 20 years later, something. John's like, yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is gay, and his friend goes, no, he's not. He's got a wife and 4 kids. He's not gay at all. And then he goes back to his dad, and he goes, the joke. And he goes back to his dad. He goes, Dad, Tommy Lee Jones isn't gay. He goes, I thought he was. You just accept this shit from your parents when you're young. What do we got? Dude, that's it.
Wow. That was
crazy. Isn't that crazy?
And you said we had nothing to talk about.
We didn't do any sodas. We didn't do any strange candy.
We had Floyd, though.
We did have Floyd, although Floyd kind of took a nap.
He was tired.
He was and is. And so am I, honestly, because it's been a busy week. The Roberto Clemente thing, and then we did there was Walden School came in, plus I had to do the test for the Roberto Clemente thing, and I think I'm actually going to have a paycheck this week.
There we go.
Which is a beautiful and rare thing.
This is an outrage.
What you got coming up? Anything interesting?
I got a very terrible version of Anything Goes coming into the building soon.
That's exciting.
Not terrible. It is. They're not terrible. It's community theater. I make a joke about the community theaters, but it's just a community theater in Philadelphia. There's a couple that are run by the city of Philadelphia, and this one's coming and they're doing it. I'm just not a fan of Anything Goes. That's why I'll say.
I don't know much about the show.
Anything Goes is a very dated show. There's a wildly racist part in it, but the group itself.
Dude, anything older than 1969, they're Annie Get Your Gun. There's a middle of Annie Get Your Gun, which is, whoa, not cool, dude.
There's a part in Anything Goes. For anybody who's seen it, will know what I'm talking about. The two main guys on the boat sneak onto the boat, and they're spending. It's kind of like a caper, not a caper, but they're trying to make sure the captain doesn't see them. They pretend to be somebody else. They pretend to be public enemy number one. When they find out that they're not public enemy number one and all this stuff, they have to then pretend to be something else. And there's a missionary on the boat that has 2 Chinese missionaries. He's the one that they're coming over to America with him. And they play a dice game, and the 2 main characters win the outfits of the 2 Chinese guys and then do a Chinese bit that would make Mickey Rooney blush.
If you don't understand the Mickey Rooney reference, he is referring to Breakfast at Tiffany's, I believe.
Yes.
Which is... Was he nominated for an Oscar for that play?
He may have been because it was that time where they're just like, sure, why not?
I mean, it is an unbelievably,
that was like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, whatever. And even
I'll tell you what, if it were the 40s, then I mean, there was a lot of leeway given to making Germans and Italians and Japanese just look ridiculous because we were fighting them. I mean, like England versus France, 1820. Napoleon was not short.
No, he wasn't. In fact, he was only considered short because of the different measuring systems, and the English were like, I believe the English had a one, and the French did, and the French was a larger scale.
See, I didn't even hear that. I heard that, like the fact that we would during World War II, we portrayed Japanese with the glasses and short, and I forget what we did for Hitler or whatever. But you literally portrayed like. He wasn't. I mean, he literally was not even like a discrepancy. He wasn't short.
No,
and he wasn't measured as short. It's just they portrayed him as that, they could.
They took the French one because their measurement, like their foot was bigger. It wasn't 12 inches. It might have been 14 inches. It might have been 15 inches. So he was like he was already technically shorter by like measurement, but also he had these Prussian guards with him that were like these tall, like
the old guard. I mean, those were his like super dupers,
and they were like 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" to almost 7 foot. Like these are tall, like.
Oh, so you're gonna look like Vladimir.
So every time he was with them, he looked tiny. So it was always he's a tiny human being, and also because of propaganda and the Victor writes the history books, unless it's the Civil War and all that fun stuff. But that's
the Victor. Oh,
well, there's
yeah, I know. Okay, yeah. Anything in the South, the
myth of the Lost Cause, but we've already gone over.
Well, that's like the best album name of all time is REM Fables of the Reconstruction. I love that title.
That is the next time I come on, it'll be History Hour with Steve and Carl.
History Hour. What should we talk about for History Hour this week? This week on History Hour.
And also my favorite. It's part of history, but my favorite urban legend, myth, whatever, like one that people what the heck is it? But like basically it's like saying that Paul McCartney died and he actually died before Abbey Road, and that
I was thinking that just the other day because I saw a picture when they're really, really young, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, Paul doesn't look right. And it's probably just because, you're really young. And, when you're really young, especially your nose changes, your ears gets bigger. You put on weight, you lose weight, whatever. And how old were the Beatles at the beginning? Like maybe like 20?
Yeah, I don't know. They were fetuses. They were just tiny.
And then like, maybe as little, you come into your 20s looking this way and you come out of your 20s looking, and that's usually what you're set at for, like, if you're lucky for a number of years. But he does look very different, and so I can see why people do that.
And it's the conspiracy theory, but I believe in like fun conspiracy theories, and it drives people nuts. Like just to drive them nuts with that Paul is actually dead. It's not really Paul. Like that's how we got Wings, because the real Paul McCartney would never have done Wings. Anyway, one of them is that this is one that I love to believe, and it drives some people nuts, is that the Titanic isn't the boat that actually sunk.
Dude, I saw this yesterday.
It was. Because they were running out of money, and White Star Lines was running out of money, that they took the
Olympic,
and they changed all the names.
There's 3 of them. Do you know the other one? There's the Titanic, the Olympic, and the.
I don't know.
Britannic.
But they're running out of money, and the Titanic had the highest insurance claim, so they changed all the paint and all this stuff and sunk one of the other ones, and the Titanic actually survived. But they were able to get the insurance money because it sunk. And
the other part of that conspiracy theory is it was J.P. Morgan, they say, was the owner of White Star Line or whatever. Which I thought White Star Line was a European, was an English.
It's actually an Irish.
Oh well, I mean J.P. Morgan was, but apparently a lot of his competitors were on that, like aFTER and some other were on that boat, and at the last minute he's like, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Even though I own that, I'm going to go on the next boat.
I need to make sure.
Also, did you know that it left port with a fire?
Well,
there was a coal fire. No, I mean, yes, there were the burners, but there was an out-of-control coal fire in bin number 4 that was out. I know you've never heard this before, right?
Never. Yeah.
I only learned about this about 2 years ago. So it left port with an out of control coal fire in bin number 4 that they thought they were going to be able to get under control, but it burned like a motherfucker for days and days, well, like coal does. For days and days, they couldn't put it out. They would dump seawater on it, couldn't put it out. So by the time they got to the iceberg, the steel in the sides and the rivets were all like so soft that it tore it like fucking tissue paper. And I only just heard this one like literally 2 years ago, and they're showing all the stats and stuff for it. Now, I don't know. It's the same thing. Like, can rocket fuel bring down a building? That sort of thing, you know?
I don't believe in most, but it's just fun too. But also, like, there's a very
Hey, Texie.
There's also a funny comedian that I listen to, Ron Funches, and he goes,
Oh, I love Ron. Is he skinny now again,
like,
or is he fat again, or is he in the middle?
In the middle, because he like.
Because I loved it when he was fat, and then he got skinny, and then it was like, I don't know, dude. I think you're a little too skinny.
It's kind of like Craig Ferguson used to say, "I like fat Drew. I don't like skinny Drew."
Dude, it's I never watched Craig Ferguson when it was, and I really feel like I missed out because they're showing me clips of him flirting with these girls, like in Turtle. This what would be considered probably totally inappropriate flirting, but he's having fun and they're having fun, and it's just sort of innocent fun, and it looks like it's something you don't see anymore.
I've seen him twice because, like live, because of his TV show. Like I've seen him in Philly twice, for birthday presents each year. But Ron Funches had a joke. He goes, "Do you guys believe in conspiracy theories?" And everybody was like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, like you don't believe in any conspiracy theories. You think you're just like sitting in the world going, man, the government is batting 1,000. They're telling us everything, man. Like." His joke, like that's his joke, and I was like, and I'm sitting there, I was like, this is amazing because like you can't, like there has to be something.
Well, you know the rest of that joke. The rest of the joke is, so you're just going to believe that, and it's one of the few times I hear him curse because he doesn't do a lot of cursing like this, and I'm not going to say what he said, obviously, but he's like, so you're just going to believe everything that the government tells you is true. He goes, because I have a 5-year-old son. And I tell him, and I tell the,
I remember.
And I tell that little guy anything. I lie to him every day. So like, you know, and yes, Jeff Peterson is the best gay robot skeleton of all time. Oh, his appliance, yes.
Yeah, but no, I will consistently. That is a YouTube thing. I will go on and either watch Craig flirting with girls because they seem to, and I kind of always wanted to somehow get famous enough to be able to meet some of them and be like, were you comfortable with Craig? But then you watch people like Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis, all these people, and there's whole just videos of the. Kristen Bell went on Craig Ferguson 26 times. So if she
there's a
girl. And like she went on for nothing. Like it wasn't like
no, she go not to promote anything. And there's a girl who was I can't remember her name. She's an English girl, very very pretty. The only thing you're a Star Trek fan, so the only thing I remember her was Star Wars fan.
Are you talking Alice Eve?
She was in Star Trek 2. Yeah. She played whatever Kirk's love interest basically. But I see several clips with her and him, and she is just flirting the shit out of it, and it's just adorable. It's just the cutest thing.
It really I have never found a late night TV host that I've enjoyed as much as Craig. The last week he was on, and it'll show up on my memories from Facebook, but like the last week he's on, I have a picture of me every night. I have a snake cup.
You have a snake cup.
That's hysterical. And I would watch it with like taking a picture of him on the screen of the TV, my old tube TV screen.
Tube TV.
With the snake mug in front of it, and then. Yeah, he's just a whole lot of fun, and I enjoy Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, I enjoy. Anyway, that's about it for the evening, gentle peoples.
He said it's like the Craig.
Ferguson I saw it. That's a shame.
Do we have to do a trivia question? Iceland is in the North Atlantic. Its capital city is
Reykjavik. Also, Iceland is it's white. It's ice and snow on the outside, but green in the center. Greenland, strangely enough, is green on the outside and ice. Also, Greenland is not on a map. Greenland always looks like it's the size of fucking South America, and it is not.
Yeah. Oh, I only learned that fact about Greenland and Iceland because I watched Mighty Ducks 2.
Really?
Yeah, because they faced Iceland, and then so the main character, Emilio Estevez's character, was flirting with a coach from Iceland, or like maybe their athletic trainer or whatever, and she like he's on a date with her, and she's like, funnily enough, Iceland is green and Greenland is ice.
Yep.
And ever since then, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
if it's in Mighty Ducks 2, it's got to be true. The knuckle puck. I've tried it so many times. It works.
Oh my god! All right, I got one more musical tomorrow, and then I've got. It's been a busy week. It's been like an actual week of work for me. I haven't done that for quite a long time.
This upcoming week is
I mean, as opposed to my other job that is all the time. What are you saying, kiddo?
this upcoming week is like a nice little lull before
Nice.
June is completely packed for us except for one weekend, and the only reason we don't have that weekend is because we're in Manayunk and the Manayunk Arts Fest, so they closed down Main Street.
Oh my god, man! Yeah, how does anyone park there? I don't know how you
Well,
do
we
it.
have we're on Venice Island, so there's parking on our own island. So like it's a parking lot that has and so it's one of the 3 lots that Manayunk Development Corporation runs.
That place is a fucking. The Grape Street's gone. I remember parking at the Grape Street, and I got a ticket, and I was just like, "But I paid for." But yeah, the Grape's finally gone. That's kind of crazy.
We just did, which is really cool. On our island we had this thing called the Sing Us Home Festival. It's a singer-songwriter festival. Dave House, I don't know how much you know Dave House, but they do this festival every year, and not every year. It's the second year, but it's like this year it was a 3-day thing, and it was outdoors, but it was a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, and then inside it was him and his brother Tim House and all this stuff. Like they're natives of Manayunk area, so they were they like had inside stuff. They had a thing called like the family campfire and stuff. It was really cool. It was a nice little weekend.
Nice. Cool beans. The beans are cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. And Steve, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
it's always nice to, it was fun. Catch up with the sport. I always like mine you for sports. Sports ball. Look at all those sports.
I promise you that anytime you need to mind me for most sports, I will be able to help you out. The Olympics are coming up.
Oh, yeah. I heard there's going to be breakdancing in the Olympics.
If there is, I'll watch it. I'll watch any of these sports of the Olympics. We had a hypothetical. I like to throw hypotheticals out at work because it's boring sometimes because, when theater's boring.
Okay.
One is if you won the lottery and you had to spend it on an experience. You had to spend you had to spend you had to spend money on an experience. What would that experience be? It could be a trip. It had to be an experience. Like my answer was, because I've always wanted to be there for it, is I want to go to the opening ceremonies of an Olympics. And the idea is because you've won the lottery, you don't have to like nickel and dime. Like I have to sit up in the nosebleeds. Like you could get like an awesome seat to see everything. You could be in a booth, or you could be down on the ground. So
like money is no object sort of thing.
Money's no object. Another coworker said that they would, if an experience would be to hike the length of the Rockies and make their way up into the Canadian Rockies and then up to see the Northern Lights, but through the Canadian Rockies. So like
that sounds like a lot of effort.
But like that's what they like to do. I like to sit and watch sports events.
I would go to and explore inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. I think that would be badass. Although I do not like small spaces and I have a little bit of claustrophobia. So in that respect, I may not like it.
Well, I heard it's a slide. You get in the one shaft.
I don't like that. That doesn't sound good neither. Well, all I know is when I would be hip on it until I got into the main, the King's Chamber or the Queen's Chamber, the Antechamber, the one that goes like that. And I'd be like fine until some part of my brain would be like, there's like 10 billion tons of stone above you. And there's a space in it. And this...
The other experience that I thought would be really cool is if you were lucky enough to be at Notre Dame Cathedral. The Cathedral
when it burned down?
No, when it burns down, but like when it's finally finished and refurbished and like because I'm Catholic, it's like you go to the very first mass at the cathedral after it's been fit. Like that's an experience. Like and since you have all this money in the world, money is no object, you'd actually be able to attend the mass inside the cathedral.
That'd be kind of cool, I guess, if that's what you were into.
No, but I mean, like, it's one of those, like, it's an experience, but, like, I made a caveat of, like, you couldn't be like, for me, it'd be like, I want to go to the World Series Game 7, Phillies win in Game 7. Like, you can't put caveats on it. You just be like, I want to go to the World Series. You just be like, I want to go to the World Series. You can't even say that your team's in it. It's just like the basic, like, or go to the, like, that's why like a lot of the answers for some people are like the Kentucky Derby, or go to like the Indy 500, something like where you don't have a pardon the pun, a horse in that race. Like, you're going for this experience of something that like everybody says is one of the great experiences in life.
Well, that's cool. I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to Egypt. That ain't happening. What I've always wanted to do before I die is drive across the United States. Or even take a train, take the Skyline train, and just like sit there and like read a paper while like the Rockies and shit go by. I think that'd be cool as shit.
If you drove cross country, how would you drive?
Very fast. I would in 60 miles an hour at least.
What I mean is, what kind of vehicle would you drive?
Oh, I drive my car.
See, I've always wanted to drive cross country, and I'm always torn between the idea of going in an RV so that when you're tired you can just pull over in a rest stop and you don't have to like plan where you're sleeping.
I mean, that is kind of cool.
Or you rent like a classic old school convertible and you're just tooling along like back roads. So like you got and it has like a soft top or a hard top, but like it has to be a convertible and it has to be able to be down.
So you're doing it in the spring or the summer?
Probably, or even early fall where it's just like beautiful out and you're just like, I don't have the hair to whip through the wind to whip through, but like
not everyone does.
So like I've always gone back and forth on how I would want to go cross country. Because also, if you go in a car, it forces you to stop in certain places where you didn't think you'd have to stop because you need to rest.
Well, it depends on what you do highway-wise, because there's a story by Steinbeck that I was forced to read in 9th grade. I'm really glad they made me do it. It's called Travels with Charlie. It's a classic thing with Steinbeck. Him and his dog go across the United States, and they kind of go down through Texas and then back up around. I mean, I forget the specifics, but this wanderlust really, like, you know, it really took me. I was like, that sounds like I don't know if I'd want to go with my dog, but you know, it just sounded like a lot of fun to go. And it's probably boring as fuck. I don't know, but you know, and some of those roads go on forever. You know, like I sometimes think it's a long trip across Pennsylvania. That ain't nothing compared to like Colorado or Kansas or Nevada
or Texas.
Texas, Jesus Christ. I mean, in Nevada or Texas, you could drive for like 100 miles and not see anyone. There's places, I remember when Top Gear went down to Australia, and there's one farm that you could drive for 16 hours and you're still on the dude's fucking farm. Like the farm.
Yeah, I've always, but the thing is, and it was also the only thing that I get nostalgic about for driving for Amazon is the driving. I like driving.
I like driving my car.
And it bummed me out. And this is the only cool thing about driving for Amazon, at least in my opinion, is you're driving, and I didn't have many cities, so we were like in New Hope, Pennsylvania. We were in Princeton, New Jersey. At the very beginning, we were down the shore. Because you're driving an Amazon van, and if you get to one of those places where you can't see the house and you have to go down the driveway, you got to see some really awesome houses because you have to drop their package off, and Amazon is not allowed to drop off packages in a mailbox.
No, you're not.
Because you know the rule. Mailbox is the property. Even if someone else buys it, a mailbox is the property of the United States.
Can't do it.
So if anybody caught us, now people put them in there, but if anybody caught you, you could be arrested.
That's a federal crime.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting thing. I wonder if anyone's ever actually been hit up for that. But no, you cannot. If it's not a piece of mail, then you cannot put it in. You can put it in, and I'm not positive of this. If you put a stamp on it, you can put it in.
And the other thing that cracks me up is that the USPS delivers Amazon stuff. So sometimes Amazon stuff
will end up in there via the UPS.
But
USPS.
Which is fine, but like I got to see some awesome houses while I was driving for Amazon because I was allowed to actually go on people's property, like drive down these long roads.
It's kind of cool.
and see some things I never thought I'd get to see.
I'd love a house with a long driveway. Wouldn't like it in the winter, but a nice long gravel driveway in like a woodsy thing, a couple acres. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, if I had the money, and I had a job that I knew I could do remotely, I would be living in the middle of Pennsylvania where no one could find me.
That'd be kind of cool.
Like I could do a remote job and just like send people stuff and just. But unfortunately, I don't have that skill set.
No, nor do I. I mean, I could. I mean, I wonder if. I mean, I could remotely do sound design for people.
I think you could get away with at least somewhat. Like maybe if you're like for 3 months, I'm just going away, but I'm gonna work on these shows, and I think you might have some connections where you could get away with. They pay your bills for 3 months.
Man, that'd be nice to just get away. I have a place down in the Upper Shore, but it's a little shack.
Yeah, told me about that when. Because you're like, yeah, I'm going to my place. I was like, your place? Your place is right around the corner.
Yeah, the other place. I took Mom down to the beach last week. I take her down once a week because I have a brother and an uncle and an aunt down there too. So they're.
Don't put poop in the mailbox or on the poop deck.
No, there's no poop on the poop deck. I love that there is a phrase in this world that only you and I. Because not even the people in the thing know.
No, because we were sitting in the back.
It'd be like, there's no poop on the poop deck.
It was after our friend unfortunately got hurt, and I had to be the stage manager for a couple weeks.
Oh.
Because that's why I was working. Because he
took a header.
Because he would normally do the lights for the kids show.
He was still there. Yeah, it wasn't long. I'll tell you what, that was 19. He was out by August. He's doing okay. He's working over at Broomall Rehab.
I'm with the exception of the stuff that caused him to. I have great memories with Tim.
Yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about because you were ready to. You're like, talk to him.
Well, no, and I. It's one of the few times I put my foot down. Stuff that is accepted before I get there. You cannot make it my responsibility.
Yeah.
And the fact that what was going on was accepted before I got there, well before I got there. And then all of a sudden they wanted me to have the conversation with them. I was like, that's not happening because you guys have allowed this.
It was a symbiotic sort of thing. He would make very little during the summer. And no one else would have done all the stuff that he did for the summer. And then during the winter, he would make equity wages and stuff. But he would, he'd show up loaded. Maybe, tops. Absolute tops, 5%. Probably closer to 2%. He did not show up loaded all. This was not. Although you and I went over there.
Well, I never went over because the one time that it happened where you had to go over is you and Brendan, and I was standing at the light board because I was going to run the show, and that's the one that I told him he had to go talk because you came in. And you were like ready, and he comes in, and he's like ready to push me over. I was like, "You got to go talk to Jesse."
Yeah, and not because you wanted to do it at all.
No, I was like, I was told to do this, and we were about ready to start. I think I actually started.
It might have been either places or just about started.
Yeah, I already started, and I was standing there ready to go, and I was like, "You got to go talk to him." I was like, "I'm not."
We were doing that show, and he was straight for it. He'd overslept at that point, but he was whatever. And we got halfway through the show or something, and we're all on comms. And I asked Brendan something, and I asked Brendan something as opposed to Tim, something that Tim probably could have answered, but I asked Brendan, and he goes, "Oh, you asked Brendan, huh?" And I go, and you know me, do you know what I said?
I know what you. I don't remember it, but once you say it, I'm gonna be like, "Yep," because I was there that night.
So, well, my mouth, man. I go for a joke. I always go for a joke, and I probably shouldn't have, because you asked Brendan and not me. I'm like, well, at least he showed up. Oh, I'm such a dick. Oh.
Well, I remember when I was.
However, if you are late on a call, I don't care if you're drunk, sleepy, tired, or just fucked up your what do you call it, your alarm or whatever. Part of the deal is for a half an hour, you are going to get pounded by everyone else. That's the deal. No matter what job you do, if you don't show up on time,
it's one of the reasons why I'm early for
everything. What's the rule? Early's on time, on time's late. And late, fired. I think that's a Texism. I don't know if that's a Texism, but
Tex might.
But
But there's a thing that went around on Facebook like a couple years ago, and it said, "I'm the kind of person that's always 15 minutes early for the party." But then there's a person who goes, "And I got there 15 minutes early, but sat in my car for 15 minutes so I didn't look weird." And then the other person goes, "And I also took an hour to drive there, and I went somewhere else before I got there 15 minutes before." And I was like, nothing has spoken to me more.
I can, and the funny thing is, everybody in any kind of relationship, very rarely are the two people the same. I mean, once in a while it falls into place, but usually it's the early bird. So the early bird and the night owl. There's like the early person and the late person. You know, like there you go, little what do you call it? Little thing for my own album coming out in June, hopefully.
But yeah, I'm always afraid that that I'm gonna miss something, and also I will always be on time for a party because I've had parties where someone doesn't show, like most of the people don't show up on time, and I'm thinking nobody's coming. So I'm always like that first person. Like if you say a party starts at 8 o'clock, I'll be there at 8 just so that you know one person's gonna be there.
Yep.
I've also been that person that shows up at 8 and everybody's like, "What are you doing here? We thought we had an extra half hour to get ready." And I'm like, "Well, I'll help you get ready."
Sure, yeah. You need these onions chopped? Sure, just chopping some onions. All right.
There's another sports ball thing for you.
What's that?
Tom Coughlin football.
What's that? I don't know.
He's a former head coach. He coached for the New York Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, 9 o'clock means 8:45? Yeah. Well, that's like any showtime. Any showtime is an hour. Any call for the show is an hour before the show. So if the show's at 10, it's at 9 if the show's. However, remember in the media we used to do like, you know, the Saturday was it the Saturday matinee at the media is 2 o'clock. The Sunday matinee at media is 3 o'clock. And there was always someone who would eventually fuck that up, me included. I was working my first 2 or 3 weeks there. I fucked that one up too. They're like, "Hey, you feel like coming in today?" I was like, "I thought it was 3." It's like, "No, it's 2." And that's back when I had to do the batteries up in the rooms. You know, "Hey, Steve stopped by." Yeah, Stevie works out out at Longwood, which man, I keep forgetting that I can't go anywhere. I don't want to be all bummer about it, but I can't go anywhere. Like I got calls from the union, can't go. They're doing stuff out at like Savoy. Savoy is this Brandywine and Savoy are these community theaters. Mm-hmm. Savoy is Gilbert and Sullivan only. God help you. But for the past 20 years or whatever, out at Longwood, Savoy has done every Gilbert and Sullivan show. So like the people like join up, and they've over the course of the 20 years, they'll do seasons, they won't do other seasons, and it's like a crew. You see the same people every year. It's probably been a while. It's been a while since I've done it, since I've run it, because they come in. Longwood would provide the crew for them, and then they would use us and do their thing, and we'd run the lights and the sound and stuff, and they would do whatever the fuck they want. But they've done every single Gilbert and Sullivan show except one, and it's called The Prosecutor. I don't know, whatever it is, it's the shit one. It's the one that no one ever wants to do. It's the one that no one ever wants to see. However, everyone in that company has had some part or some build of every single Gilbert and Sullivan show except that one. So they've all been coming back, and they've all been waiting for a decade or more to do this one thing so they can go, boom.
Done.
So this is the year when everyone in Savoy is going to mob Longwood. And the Grand Duke, thank you, the Grand Duke. Yes, that's the one. So this is the year, and Lee is with Savoy Company. He was with them before he came to media. We didn't cross paths because I left Longwood, or was told to go right as he was coming in with Savoy. Although Savoy had been there before that, but so him and I were thinking about going out there and working with them for it, just because it's going to be just a lot of fun. That's another.
And just as my favorite thing about Gilbert and Sullivan, I don't know if you remember this. It's a terrible 1980s movie. And I know because of our love of How Did This Get Made, you probably have seen a terrible movie every once in a while.
I love terrible movies. They're terrible.
It's a movie called The Pirate Movie, which is
based
off of...
And it has the guy from Greatest American Hero in it, I think, right?
Christopher
Guest?
No,
not
Aiken. No.
Believe it or not, I'm not here right now. You should leave a message on my machine.
Christy McNichol was.
It's a horrible movie.
But it's one of those movies.
It's a pirate movie.
It's so terrible, it's funny to me, and I can't stop laughing.
There's like 3 or 4 pirate movies in the beginning '80s, and they're all terrible. I can't remember any of the others except, I mean, if I really thought about it, but there's one. It's with Graham Chapman, and it's called Yellowbeard, and I don't know anything about it. But Graham Chapman from Monty Python. Yeah. And Cheech and Chong are in it. Wait. No, Cheech and Chong are in the Corsican Brothers, which they are pirates, I believe.
But the pirate movie, fantastic movie.
It's a pirate movie's horrible. Even the cover's a horrible movie.
Oh yeah.
Everything about it's horrible. Christy McNichol.
Christy McNichol.
Jesus Christ.
You know him from
Good night, Tex.
The Greatest American Hero.
Believe it or not.
I believe he was also in Blue Lagoon with.
That was not him.
I'm almost positive it's him.
No.
We gotta.
No. I think that you think it's him because the kid's hair is blonde and curly. He's got a Jufro with like blonde curly hair. I don't think that that's him. I think he just looks. And this is going to be our last piece of trivia that we're going to find out. Then we're going to go to bed and come see Susical tomorrow, or go buy my album when it comes out next month. Once I get my drummers to finish it.
It is Christopher Atkins.
In Blue Lagoon?
In Blue Lagoon and the Pirate Movie.
And
it's literally the first thing that says on his thing. The Blue Lagoon and the Pirate Movie.
He's not Greatest American Hero, though, is he?
No, isn't that... I don't know who that is.
But that's not... Greatest American Hero. Okay. Because he was in House, which is this weird fuck movie that I can't remember much about.
When you said House, I was thinking the TV show, which I love the TV show.
There's a TV show called House?
House, yeah. It's the House MD, the doctor with the limp.
House. Oh, of course, yes.
So.
What a weird name. That's Stephen.
No, that is Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie.
Who is friends with Stephen Fry.
Yeah, you know exactly where I was going. And they all really hung out on Blackadder.
Yes. But also.
Oh God, Rick Morel on Blackadder was the funniest fuck ever. Did you ever see Man Down?
No.
With it's this English comedian, very big guy. I mean, I don't mean like fat. Although I mean he's not light, but he's probably like 6'8". He's this huge British comedian, and it's called Man Down, which is the opposite. And it's called that because it's everything that he does is the opposite of manning up to something. It's really funny, and Rick Morel's in it from from The Young Ones and Right Said Fred, the one with Phoebe Cates with the imaginary friend. Dead Fred, Drop Dead Fred.
Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, he's in it as his father for a season, and it is legitimately someone. I was very fun.
Speaking of British comedies, and if you want to end on this. Red Dwarf is going to come back for 3 episodes. I remember recording Red Dwarf. It came on Channel 12, PBS in 1988, and I sat up all night and recorded the first season, which was like, they just like went, here you go. And they gave us like all like 6 or 7 episodes at once. And I recorded them, and I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I ever saw. And then I recorded the second season. And then there's like what, 6 more or something now or something. But I just got full. I was like, those first 2, because like Luna City 7 and what's his name? And remember, like they're joking about him like ordering his gazpacho soup and sending it back to like for them to heat it up, and he's there eating his like piping hot soup, while they're all fucking laughing at him. And the cat, how emergency. There's an emergency going. Oh yeah, I remember all that shit. But I just kind of got full, after like 2 or 3 seasons. But it was always funny. Did you catch any new Doctor Who? Well, I was about to say Red Dwarf is my Doctor Who because I've never watched Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And you got mad at me because I called your Doctor Who scarf your Hogwarts scarf one time.
What happened to that? Is it over there? Oh, it's right there. My Doctor Who scarf is over there.
Yeah, you're like, what do you call this? And I was like, yeah, it's your Hogwarts.
It's like, you motherfucker. I am not a Bumblepree or whatever the fuck you got, or a Hufflepuff or a Poopy Smith.
If you were any house in the Harry Potter Hogwarts house, you would be a Hufflepuff.
Okay, why not?
It's not bad. You'd just be a Hufflepuff. That's all.
No, I don't puff that often, but once in a while.
You Hufflepuff more than I do.
God damn. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. We're a half hour over.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We will catch up next week. Steve, thanks for coming by. Always a good time. You don't know how it feels.
Want to know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. You don't want to know how it feels. I would never wish that on you. No, no, no. How it feels, yeah. You don't know how it feels. Now I said, thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you, everybody. Good night. dELCO quarantine open mic. dELCO quarantine open mic. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Turn until the dELCO late night. Right, Carl and all these other dudes. I don't know. They be talking crazy shit. Last time it was about a snowblower. Carl Park. He crashed his bike. Yeah, his knee was torn up. I never seen, psych, I seen worse. He's alright. But check out Carl. dELCO late night quarantine, open mic, alright. Thank you. I could play